Hello, everybody. I'm just going to adjust you guys just a little bit. There we go. Sorry, guys. All right, there we are. I think I forgot to turn off some pop-up blockers is what happened there. But hi, guys. I'm Monique. I'm Misfit Crafter. And, oops, forgot to pull up my little guy here. But let's see here. Hello. Yeah, I'll do a quickie about myself. I'm Monique. I'm Misfit Crafter. I run Misfit Crafter Studio, Misfit Crafter Menagerie. I run a little website that we do all kinds of stuff from a small shop to a community and all that. Thank you I love my magnetic card. I was trying to bring up the sample of the magnetic card also, but it's missing for some reason. And I know I had it just yesterday. You know, you do one of those things where you put it somewhere and so you don't lose it. And I don't know if it got moved or something. But yeah, so sorry about not bringing the actual card. I'm going to show you the printouts that you should have to make that card. And basically the whole concept was let's see, the whole concept was really just, I like making cards that are like fun to play with. And because I have kids and I have nieces and nephews that I often would send things to, because I used to live out of state and so far from them, I wanted to send them something fun to play with since I couldn't be there with them all the time. So we ended up doing, I like the idea of a magnetic card that they can make their own little jack-o'-lantern faces. But yeah, let's see. Hi, Monique. I love your magnetic face jack-o'-lanterns. Would love to send these to nieces and nephews exactly for Halloween. I only have an inkjet printer. Can I print on that? Yeah, you can print on anything because I only use an inkjet. That's the only thing I actually use. I use an Epson. I forget exactly which one it is. It's like not the lowest Epson Eco Tank, but just right above it, I guess. It's possible to get my vinyl sheets without buying a huge package. It's kind of hard to. You could get a smaller one. I think you can get like a 20 sheet one. I think is maybe a smallest one you might be able to get. But yeah, like I said, that's exactly why I liked it. Is because nieces and nephews were so far. I always like to send them something a little interactive because it's just really fun to do. So that's why I wanted to make sure that it was like a fun like Halloween and they can take it apart and and later on it could be used on other things like they can rip it off and throw it onto the refrigerator and have all the little magnet pieces. So yeah, I was always making sure that I always send them something fun. And let's see. What brand is your inkjet? It's an Epson. It's an Epson Eco Tank. I'm trying to think of the number. I'm away from it. I decided to come to my room to actually do this because the house is always noisy. So it's easier to come up here this time. But yeah, it's an Eco Tank. I forget. It's one that's like, I want to say like just under 200 or something like that for it. But I love that one. It's two because I use mine for my small business and I end up, I print a lot. So, because part of my business is printed scrapbook and junk journal paper. So I print all the time and I love my Eco Tank for that. Have I found non-adhesive magnetic sheets yet? No. If you saw in the video, I was like, I thought I had gotten non-magnetic because I read it and non-adhesive. I kept reading all of the descriptions. And every time I would order one, I would think I was getting it non-adhesive and never said anything about adhesive on it. And it was not. I want to say you might be able to pick some up at one of the local like craft stores, M1 or whatever. Usually you can get them in places like that. I don't know, my head, I believe I've seen them before, but it's not too bad. Did you put the sticky side of the printable vinyl to the sticky side of the magnetic sheet? No, I try to do it so that I did it the opposite and then just kind of like covered the other side with paper. So that's why I had kind of given you kind of like that extra face and everything so that one side would stick to the backer itself and then the other side would stick to the front of it. So if you see it, I kind of like put one over the other so that you're not putting the two stickies together because that's really hard. So it's always the sticky to non-sticky end. Can the printable vinyl sticker paper you used in the video be used on regular ink printer? Yeah, I only use inkjet printers. I don't use I mean I have a laser jet, but I don't really, we use it for just invoices and things like that. I don't use it for much else because it does that little shiny thing. Unless I want to foil something, it's really the only reason I use the laser jet for anything like that. So scrolling my, there we go. What is a junk journal? A junk journal. Do I have one right here? I think I have a little guy. I have a little one. Here's like a little. Here's like a little itty bitty one that I was actually in the middle of doing the other day. This is an itty bitty one. This one, there's like a controversy on what a true junk journal is, but basically it's a journal. You make it out of junk papers. This one happens to be out of a paper that I designed. They tend to be all different shapes and sizes. But you make it out of things like old mail, old books that are like obsolete that you can't really use anymore. I like to use like old music sheets, stuff like that. You're working on your junk journal? Yeah. Yeah, I know if my people are in here, they definitely are with the junk journals. Yeah, if you see my site, you'll definitely see a ton of junk journals, and anything I post, it's kind of big right now on what I do a lot of. How would I describe my design style? Oh, it's very eclectic. I like anything from, my two main styles would be vintage, grungy. You can see like from this one, it's all kind of grungied up. If you got the pass, you have access to a big set of like 5 card files. So I like the more kind of like grungy, kind of pretty, but I also like spooky and fun, but I also like super bright and playful vintages. So like I love Hello Kitty and stuff like that. So like I said, if you have the pass, you get access to making all of these cards as well. There's a file that you get to play with in Canva that you can change out the papers and stuff like that. But I also have like that set that you can see. That will give you all 5 of these already pre-designed, or you can design your own. So like there's like a little card with a bow. We have our butterfly shapes, and they all come with layers so that if you want to layer them and like emboss certain pieces and leave off other pieces. There's this one. I did it this way because I didn't want to open it the other way, but I thought I got more writing space, and says, hello, my friend. But it comes with all the file pieces so that you can change out, if you use it in Canva, you can change out the papers to whatever you want to fit your style. But then you'll get a bonus one where they're already designed to exactly these. But these are in your, if you got the pass, that is in the pass. You get all those sheets like that. Do you put pictures and pages in junk journals? Do you write in them regular journal? Sorry, I've got a sneeze. Yeah, so I use them for everything. I use them for kind of like a date journal. I'm trying to make myself not sneeze. Sorry, bear with me one second. Today is like such a bad allergy day. I do anything from, putting cards that I get from people in them, using them as a scrapbook, just writing whatever I want. I would say more than writing in it like a traditional journal, I art journal in it. So my thoughts and stuff, instead of like a whole thing about what happened in my day or how I'm feeling, ends up being interpreted in art instead. So it's more, they call spreads, but a little bit different. I love making them more than anything. I can say that. I love making things to give to other people to enjoy or to use. That's why I love making cards, because and that's why I like making interactive cards that are kind of fun and stuff to use, is because I want to give, I like making it to give to someone to enjoy it, to use however they want. So I tend to make them more than anything else, more than actually writing in them. I try to leave it with stuff that people can use to further play with whatever I send them or whatever I make, if that makes sense. Kind of thinking that there. Let's see. For the magnetic sheets, is 30 millimeter better than 20 millimeter? You want to get them a little bit thicker. If you can get on as thick as you can get, to be able to cut on your Cricut, or if you're going to cut them by hand and it's not too hard. You don't want to make it too chunky, and it's not so much the thickness as the strength. But if it is a little bit thicker, it tends to have a better strength, but not always. You don't want to get them so thin. Plus, if you're going to do it with the printable magnetic sheets, it's also going to depend on what your printer can take. If your printer is not printing on cardstock very well, don't go thicker. If it prints on cardstock, no problem, and it prints on really stiff cardstock, go for it. I know sometimes I can get like 110-pound cardstock, so I can get the thicker magnetic sheets in there, but I have to hand like push it down and make sure it doesn't get stuck. Plus, you're talking about if it's too much of a strength on the magnetic sheet that you're printing on, you run the risk of it getting stuck in anything that's magnetic in your printer, you know? So if it's too much metal, it might get stuck. But if you're just doing it as the backer sheet, the backer piece, then go as thick as you want. Do it as strong and as thick as you can get it. And then you don't have to go as thick for the one that you're actually printing on, like the little face pieces. So like when you're printing your bases, so like these right here are going to be like, you know, your base pieces. If you're printing this, you know, just print them like this and hand cut out your magnetic backers instead. Use these, double print it, use it as a template, cut out the magnetic piece, throw it on there so you have a nice thick magnetic piece. But then the parts that you're going to cover it with, like these, like the actual like black magnet pieces, these can go on something thinner and then they'll stick really good. Because that was the one thing, like when I first thought of it, because I started working on this way back when they had told me about it. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to make a magnet one. And I kept getting disappointed because I kept trying different magnet sheets that I could print on. And I thought, oh, well, thinner would be fine and it'll stick on anything that's magnetic. But I was wrong. They would just like fall off. They were falling off my fridge. I mean, they wouldn't even stick to my fridge. So yeah, you want to be careful. The ones that I suggested are the ones that I already tried. And they stick, which is nice, because the other ones were having a little hard time getting through like paper and stuff like that. And the reason that I did suggest vinyl to print on was because vinyl is so thin, you know, for the actual like graphic part of it. The vinyl is so thin, it's easier for the magnet to get through. Was the craft smushy tool on your site designed by you? Yeah. Actually, I think I have one right here. Yeah, this guy. The smushy. So if you like stamping or whatever, you've seen like stamping platforms to press down onto your different stamp platforms, or even just onto the block itself. Or later on, I found I use this for everything. That's why mines get destroyed so quickly, but mines last either way a long time. So I don't have the original one. So I made one for myself, I don't know, probably 8 years ago or something like that, when all the platforms were coming out, and I needed something to push down on because my hands tend to hurt a lot. I've been typing like all my life. So really easily my hands will start cramping up and stuff. I've had like childhood arthritis, all that. So I always need something that makes it a little easier. So I had these wood blocks that I got from Michael's. I used to work there. And I got them like, I don't know, super cheap at one point. And I had these wood blocks that are similarly shaped to this. And I was like, I can make me a little stamping block. And then so I DIY'd, cut out by hand and threw it all together. And then years later, when we started our business making other tools, I went to my brother and I'm like, I like it. I just think maybe it's a little too big. So we made it just a slightly bit smaller. And we made it so that when you get them, you can get them in different colors. It changes out. This part stays the same. At first we weren't going to, because you can see the structure on how it's built, because they're all 3D printed, but you can see it's kind of cool. And of course my brother wants to go like the millionth step up, and he wants to put lights in it. So if you guys want one that lights up, let us know. But you can choose the color. It comes in the teal, a lavender, a pink, and a black. Those are like our 4 base colors that we use for everything right now. But it'll change out this, it changes out this, and it has a felt to match. And then we use Kunin felt, which I love. It gets a little harder to find now, unfortunately, since our Joann stores closed, because I used to be able to get them there a lot. But I like the Kunin felt because it's like recycled felt, but it's soft. It's softer than other felt, so it doesn't scratch things up. because I use mine not only for a pressure tool, and the reason I like it is because I can hold it like this, and you can see me actually gripping it, or I can just press it down like this, or I can put my palm on it with my weight just a little bit. It grabs for some reason naturally. The shape grabs around the crevices of my fingers nicely. And I've tried it with big hands, small hands. There's all kinds of size hands. I have fairly long fingers and big hands, but my daughter and my mom have teeny tiny hands, and they were all good with it. But I use mine not only for the pressure tool, but I've used mine for, I love making paper. I would use mine on my decal to push out the water from the paper. I use mine with the softer felt. I like it because I use it for vinyl, like when I have to push out the vinyl and smooth it out onto my Cricut mat. And then when you buy them, we send you extra pads. You get 2 pads with it, so that way you can always change them out if you want to. And you can DIY a pad yourself, but we're going to be putting refills on the site if you want to get them from us. But it's strong enough that it's not going to just come off, but it's not so strong that you can't get it off, to switch it out. But yeah, so that's one that we made. Oh yeah, Halloween is my jam. If you haven't figured out, anytime you see me on one of these summits, it's almost always Halloween themed that I do. Halloween is definitely my thing. I love things all spooky. I love watching scary movies. I love everything witchy and all of that. If you get my newsletter, you'll get that idea very quickly. If you're on my website, anything like that. But yeah, I don't have a lot of samples of them because I tend to sell the Halloween journals the fastest. Those tend to go out as soon as I make one. People are already asking me, like, I want to claim that one. So they don't last very long. My last one that I sold that I loved, even my daughter was mad when I sold it. It was kind of like a big chunky one with like a, on the side of the spine, it had a big heart, a skeleton with the hearts cut out with like shaker stuff in it and all these really fun like things. Because I like making junk journals and mini albums a lot. So yeah. And the one thing that you can use is cards. So like anytime I get cards from people, I will put them sometimes in my own personal junk journals and like use them as pages in there, because then I get to remember and flip through them. That's kind of a fun way if you ever want to like save your cards that you get from other people. Throw them make them into junk journals. It's really fun. Use them as pages instead of just the card by itself, and it's a lot of fun. Do all the magnetic sheets stick to themselves? Not totally. They will. You want to find a pack that they are sticking to themselves. If they are not sticking to themselves, they're probably not going to be strong enough for this project, just so you know. So that was the one thing I was trying to make when I opened it and I saw like all my sheets falling out, the very first one that I tried, and they kept doing that. I knew it wasn't going to stick. All right. Looks like we have to wrap up if anybody has some last minute questions. Yep. All right. Thank you for having me. That was a lot of fun.